And yes, what a beautiful morning it is. Good morning, Federal Capital Territory. Good morning, Abuja, and also to you listening to us this morning. This is Citizen 93.7 FM, and my name is Shaun Smith. You're welcome to another morning where we have to review the newspapers, our national dailies. It is the newspaper review right here on Citizen 93.7 FM. We get to go through some of the trending papers right here in the country, and also pinpoint on the cover pages, the headlines, and stories that we can, run our minds through it, so to get to speed with happenings within the country. And joining me this morning is our in-house analyst, who is also a seasoned journalist and the COO of Citizen 93.7, Mr. Salman Salami. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Chiu.
And as usual, at the half-hour mark, I would bring him on to duly analyze some or most of the headlines would look at today, especially the ones that we really need to intently look into as well. Anyways, do stay tuned. Make sure you are listening to your favorite radio station right here in the city of Abuja. And also, you can call our phone lines or send a message on WhatsApp. You can call us on 0903 2229 797. 0903 2229 797. And you can also call us on 0818 2222205, 0818 and you can also send us a WhatsApp message on the same number, that is 0818 222205. Let's go on a very short break, and when we're back, we'll kickstart with the national dailies right here. Do stay tuned. And many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to the newspaper review right here on Citizen 93.7 FM. Now let's kickstart. We're taking a look at the Punch newspaper, This Day newspaper. We'll also look at Vanguard, Daily Trust, The Guardian, Leadership newspaper, and hopefully the Nation newspaper. Right here on the Punch newspaper, we can see on the cover story that in regards to 14-day strike notice, the federal government Labour defer on aborted peace deal. 14-day strike notice, the federal government Labour defer on aborted peace deal. And that is sometime yesterday, the federal government disagreed with the organized Labour on its threat to declare a nationwide strike in the next 14 days over the alleged failure of the government to implement the Memorandum of Understanding reached with the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in October 2023. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in an interview asked the unions to exercise restraint and allow the government to address their grievances. We'll take a look definitely into this when I bring on our in-house analyst. We definitely need to analyze this particular one as well. And then moving on quickly to the next story here. It says that foreign airlines fear $200 million loss over Naira depreciation. Foreign airlines fear $200 million loss over Naira depreciation. And that is the International Air Transport Association, the Geneva-based trade association representing world airlines, has expressed fears that foreign airlines operating in Nigeria may lose about $200 million to exchange rate depreciation. The IATA Regional Vice President for Africa and the Middle East, Kamil Al-Awadi, said the issue of trapped funds was being exacerbated by the depreciation of the naira, which had dropped significantly against the dollar. He spoke in an interview with CNBC, monitored by a correspondent from the Punch newspaper. If you'd like to get more information on that one, to get a copy of the Punch newspaper and get up to speed with that particular story. And here, moving on quickly to the next story on Punch newspaper, it says that master bakers announce increase in bread price in River State. Master bakers announce increase in bread price in River State. And the next story here says Borno, Adamawa, others risk severe food crisis. And this was said by the World Bank, says Borno, Adamawa, others risk severe food crisis. And it's been a whole lot with a shortage of food supply and all of that. And then the World Bank has said 7 states across the northwest and northeast regions of the country may suffer food crisis due to high levels of insecurity and armed conflicts that has reduced the standards of living across the region. This was reported in the World Bank's latest food security report that stated that most areas in West and Central Africa would remain minimally food insecure until May 2024. Now, that's another story that we need to look into. But in the meantime, let's see what's happening on the This Day newspaper and also get up to speed to more stories. And for the This Day newspaper, the latest headline says rising cost of food. Federal government orders release of 102,000 tons of rice, maize, millet, and garri. Federal government orders release of 102,000 tons of rice, maize, millet, and garri. And this one comes with 4 riders that says that rising cost of food to clamp down on hoarders of food items, and rising cost of food may import commodities as last resort. Governors meet NSA DSS over insecurity and food scarcity. And then the third rider here says that Abbas to Nigerians, your cries haven't fallen on deaf ears. And the last rider says that JNI advises the federal government to address current hardship. About 102,000 metric tons of rice, maize, millet, and garri has been directed to be released immediately from the government's reserves and stores of rice millers to the Nigerian market. I'll definitely analyze this after at the half-hour mark with in-house analysts, so to say. And then the next story here says that the Central Bank of Nigeria bars banks others from referencing unaudited accounts in sales promotion. The Central Bank of Nigeria bars banks others from referencing unaudited accounts in sales promotion. And this comes with a rider that says that the Central Bank of Nigeria set new conditions for debt recovery, data, and fraud protection. And also on the cover page of This Day newspaper, you'd find that Nigeria recorded a 600 trillion naira e-payment transactions in 2023. Nigeria recorded 600 trillion naira e-payment transactions in 2023. And that is that on the This Day newspaper. Before I head up to Vanguard, let's see what else we can view right here on the This Day newspaper. And here, in regards to World Bank, Edu seeks more concessional financing for Africa. Wale Edu seeks more concessional financing for Africa, and that is and that is said by the World Bank. And this comes with one writer that says identifies high debt levels, global trade as major challenges. Mr. Wale Edun, who is the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, has advocated more concessional funding from the World Bank Group for Africa to address its development challenges. And he is also the chair of African Governors Forum of the World Bank. Yesterday at a roundtable for economic transformation in West and Central Africa, he did speak about this in Abuja. And then the forum had in attendance ministers of finance from the two sub-regions and top officials of the World Bank Group, among others. And then the roundtable was aimed at providing a forum for World Bank governors to discuss how to make progress on ambitious priorities for development in the region, how the ongoing World Bank evolution could help accelerate this progress, and how governors could engage and support an ambitious financing and policy package for IDA 21. And let's see quickly, still under this day newspaper, it says that Marion Sheila Johnson's funeral holds in Lagos today. Marion Sheila is she was the she was the a pioneer member and past president of the International Facility Management Association for the Lagos, Nigeria chapter. And she had passed away on January 27, 2024. May her soul rest in peace. Her funeral rites would be held today, Friday, in Lagos State. And now quickly, let's head on to the Vanguard newspaper. And here on the Vanguard newspaper, on the front page, sadly, we can see that Odrogbo, 4 others die watching Super Eagles and Bafana AFCON semi-final match. Odrogbo and 4 others die watching the Super Eagles Bafana AFCON semi-final match. And this one comes with 2 riders. It says that excitement can cause sudden death if there is underlying medical condition. And this was said by experts. And also the last rider here says that Tinubu, Akpabio, Atiku, Fnbruary, Mon Odrogbo. Apparently, Ojigbo used to be the former House of Representatives for Delta State, and it says that no fewer than 4 persons died Wednesday night while watching the semi-final match between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Bafana of South Africa in the ongoing African Cup of Nations AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire. They include a chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Dr. Cairo Ojo-Ugbo, Deputy Bosa, Kwara State University, Malete Ayuba Abdullahi, and a core member serving in Adamawa State, simply identified as Samuel. Anambra-born businessman Osondu Nwoye, based in Côte d'Ivoire, was also reported to have collapsed inside the stadium while watching the match and died later in the hospital. Moving on quickly to the rest of the story, but in the meantime, it's important to also say that may the souls of the departed rest in peace. Here on the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper, it says that hardship creating more indigent students, education with tears, hardship creating more indigent students. And this comes with 4 riders that says students attend classes hungry. Also, students dropping out will exacerbate insecurity, and this was said by ASU and NAPTAN. The third rider says the situation pathetic, and this was said by NANS. Then the last one here was said by the federal government that we are taking steps to make life better. We are taking steps to make life better. An investigation that showed that many students are dropping out of school, attending classes hungry, and unable to meet obligations such as paying fees and living decently, among others. An example of the dire situation on campuses in Nigeria is shown at the University of Lagos, UNILAG, where some students who have no means of regular feeding are being fed by the management of the school. Now, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, while briefing newsmen, recently said, and I quote, that when we had to increase our obligatory fees, we made the promise that no students would drop out because of their inability to pay. Looking at the number of undergraduate students that have been registered for the new academic session, which is about 32,721, and the number of students who declared their inability to pay, that was 765. One could see that those unable to pay are small in number. And of the figure, the Office of the Vice Chancellor paid the bills of 400. We have put 170 in our work study program. We have increased the earnings from that program from 200 naira to between 500 naira and 1,000 naira per hour, and the participants works at least 2 hours a day. We also have some students who manage to pay the obligatory fees but have difficulties regarding feeding and maintaining themselves. They are about 40 in number, and we give them free meals daily. Before the increase in fees and the economic recession in Nigeria, the university did not record such number of indigent students, and that was said by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Folashade Ogunshola of the University of Lagos. And moving on quickly to the next story here, it says that the 15th BSN Founders Day, seek advice on security matters, Gowon tells Tinubu. Seek advice on security matters, Gowon tells Tinubu. And here it says that Naira depreciates to 1,500 naira per dollar in parallel market. As of yesterday, we had seen it at 1,465, and today, the 9th of February 2024, Naira depreciates to 1,500 naira per dollar in parallel market. And then the next story here says that Senate uncovers a $400 million intervention fund in banks. The Senate uncovers $400 million intervention funds in bank. And this morning also on one of the stories, you can see that this is in relation to blackout. It says Power Petroleum Resources Ministers set up committee to resolve gas shortage. Power Petroleum Resources Ministers set up committee to resolve gas shortage, and that you would find on the Vanguard newspaper for today, the 9th of February 2024. And it says that in a bid towards finding a lasting solution to challenges associated with gas supply to power generating companies, that is the GENCOs in the country, and general improvements across the power sector value chain, Minister of Power Chief Adebayo Adelabu, in conjunction with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, has set up a ministerial committee towards resolving the crisis. And now moving on quickly, you see 2 dead, 2 hospitalized in Kogi community after taking herbal concussion. 2 dead, 2 hospitalized in Kogi community after taking herbal concussion. And here in line with politics as well, it says that corruption allegations against Gbajabiamila baseless, and this was said by the Speaker. Abbas says that corruption allegations against Gbajabiamila baseless, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, that is Tajuddin Abbas, has described the corruption allegations leveled against Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff to the President Bola Tinubu, as baseless. And Tajudeen stated this while addressing a press conference on the state of the nation. And he also called on security agencies to diligently investigate allegations leveled against Gbajabi Amila. If you recall that Gbajabi Amila has been at the center of allegations of graft involving suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu. But while addressing the citizens, Abbas urged Nigerians to desist from fake news, but welcomed constructive criticism to make government officials more accountable. And now let's quickly move on to the Daily Trust newspaper and see what news stories that we can find there. And here on the top story for the Daily Trust newspaper, it says that imams, bishops to government provide food security to the poor at grassroots. Muslim and Christian leaders called on authorities to provide food to people at the grassroots because survival is increasingly becoming difficult. Survival is increasingly becoming difficult. And now here we see that troops killed 105 terrorists, arrest 140 others in 1 week. Troops killed 105 terrorists, arrest 140 others in 1 week. And this was said by the defense headquarters. Said that in different theaters of operation, eliminated 105 terrorists and apprehended 140 others in the last 1 week. And that was done by the armed forces of Nigeria, operating in different theaters of operation. And now moving on quickly to the next story here. It says that Abuja bound hostages freed. This was said by the police. Abuja bound hostages freed. The Kogi State Command of the Nigerian Police Force has said all the hostages held by kidnappers from the God is Good motors and ABC transport buses traveling from the east to Abuja have been freed. 14 commuters traveling in 2 different luxury buses were abducted at Inyele Eteke Ogugu in Kogi State last Friday. But right now, news reaching us is that they have been freed. And that's a relief actually. And the next story here is in Dume to CBN, focus on monetary stability, inflation. Indume says to the Central Bank of Nigeria that they should focus on monetary stability and inflation. And next story says Governor Otu says that Nigeria will not harbor Cameroon separators. Nigeria will not harbor Cameroon separators. For the person calling in right now, let's just hold on up until the half-hour mark, and then I will pick calls. I will definitely be very receptive to taking calls this morning. But in the meantime, let's just hold on and listen to more of the headlines so that we can take certain stories and analyze properly this morning. But if you'd like to join the conversation and you'd like to call in, the number to call is 0903 2229797 0903-2229-797, or you can also call 0818-2222-205 0818-2222-205. And you can also join us on our YouTube live at Citizen FM. You can search on the YouTube for Citizen FM, the newspaper review, and you can join us virtually as well. And moving on quickly to the Nation newspaper. Also, here on the cover page, it says that food crisis hardship. Federal government, states launch emergency action. Food crisis hardship. Federal government, state launch emergency action as agitations for affordable food items and calls for improved living standards got the attention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the governors yesterday. The federal government and the states rolled out do pardon me for that one. The federal government and the states did roll out a release of 100,000 metric tons of assorted food items from the strategic reserve and the stores of the Rice Millers Association of Nigeria, and it says that likely importation of food items to block shortfalls. Now, with little or no time on our side, let me welcome Mr. Salami Salman to analyze some of the stories. It's a whole lot, and then we keep seeing same stories across the national dailies right here, and the top story right now is in regards to food shortage. But before we hear his voice this morning, let's go on a very short break, and when we're back we can kickstart the analysis for this morning's stories. Once again, you can call in on 0903 2229 797, 0903 2229 797, or send a message on WhatsApp on 0818 2222 2005. Do stay tuned, we'll be right back. And many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to Citizen 93.7 FM. And right about now, it's time for us to, look through the stories, specific stories that, are very much resounding and also that need to be properly analyzed. Like so far, I had to go through some of the dailies, which is the Punch newspaper, This Day newspaper, Vanguard, Daily Trust, and The Nation newspaper. And across those papers, one of the resounding stories or repeated stories could see is in regards to the rising cost of food and its shortage as well. But then to kickstart this morning's review properly, would start with the 14-day strike notice. And this morning, as usual, I will be having this analysis with Mr. Salami, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Citizen 93.7 FM. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for joining me.
Very good morning to you, Sheon, and good morning, our super citizen listeners.
All right, thank you very much. And to join the conversation, you can call us on 0903 2229 793. 0903 2229 7. And you can also call on 0818 2222 205. And to those who try to call, please to make sure you call us again. We'll pick up this time around and air your opinion. But please, when you call and when it's duly received, make sure to stick to the topic of discussion and no use of a vulgar language as you contribute. And now, Mr. Salami, let's even start with the 14-day strike notice. It says that the federal government, Labour defer on aborted peace deal. The body of the story here says that on Thursday, the federal government disagreed with the organized labor on its threat to declare a nationwide strike in the next 14 days over the alleged failure of the government to implement the Memorandum of Understanding reached with the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in October 2023. He did say that is the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said that we're calling on Labour to exercise patience. We will look at the grey area, let them come and speak with us in the interest of our nation. We cannot afford to go on strike at this time. So we call on them, and we're always ready to partner Labour for the Congress and development of our country. And now, Mr. Salami, this the Nigerian Labour Congress had obviously tried to implement the Memorandum of Understanding that was reached between them and the Trade Union Congress in October 2023. And now this is February, and they are still coming forward to say that, nothing has been done so far, and that's why they want to implement the 14-day strike, nationwide strike, or better still, the nationwide strike in 14 days. Do you think like this is the best way forward? And also, what do you make of it? What is it from your own perspective?
Thank you very, very much, Sheon, for starting this today, for starting the review today with this very, very important news story. That is the 14-day strike notice served the government by the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and the affiliates of labor organization to the federal government. We are really in a peculiar situation. Our situation is bad. The situation in the country is bad already. There is hardship in the land, and Nigerians are pleading with the government to do the needful, to help reduce the hardship in the land, to help bring succor to the people, to do what is needful and what is expected of a responsive and responsible government, which I believe the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is. No doubt about it. It is a listening government. It's a responsive and responsible government, in that the government is ready, willing to do its best to bring succor. Now to this 14-day strike, there are so many questions begging for answers. One, is this the appropriate time to go on strike? Two, must it be strike and strike at the drop of a cap. 3. What exactly do we think strike and no other action will achieve? And 4. Is strike the last resort in this instance? To me, and to so many right-thinking Nigerians, strike is not the answer for now. We really appreciate the feelings and the concern of the organized labor, especially as it regards the 16-point agenda or the 16-point what organized labor called 16 points agreement with the government. It is sad that as at today, the federal government has not, according to labor, fulfilled the agreement entered into in October, and we are in February. But bad as that may be, we still think that the Nigerian Labour Congress, TUC, and other allied members of the organized labor should please tarry a while and still listen to what Malam Mohammed Idris, the Honorable Minister of Information, said, that they will look into the gray areas. Let them still please, in the interest of the common man, meet, agree, and be sincere about it, because the Nigerian Labour Congress is out to protect the weak, the vulnerable, the downtrodden Nigerian workers. And as the foremost organ leader of the labor in Nigeria, they are doing the right thing. It's out of concern. It is a pressure group, no doubt about that. But I do not think this is the time to go on strike. Going on strike now will amount to an ill wind that will blow nobody any good. Don't go on strike now. Let us do the needful, and let us find a way of resolving this matter, because the hardship in the land is already much. Going into on strike now will not solve this problem. Rather, it will aggravate the sufferings and the hardship in the land. Please hearken to this voice, because we believe that this is not the time to go on strike. There are other ways of doing this, and please do this for the common man.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lamy. But if I'm to ask, for the Nigerian Labour Congress, it's, they keep saying that, they're coming for the reason the strike is, being put out there, or the reason why they want to declare a nationwide strike is because Nigerians are suffering, because according to the statement that they made, it says that widespread hunger is now ravaging millions of Nigerians, with the workers' purchasing power significantly eroded, while insecurity has assumed an increasing dimension, and Nigerians are left wondering where their next meals will come from, and what millions, or what tomorrow might bring, the level of panic and anxiety amongst the populace has become nightmarish, unfortunately, in the midst of all this. It appears our government is bereft of appropriate measures to ameliorate the huge burden it has foisted on the citizenry. Now, it's Citizen FM, and then we are very much concerned about the citizen. And obviously, the Nigerian Labour Congress also says the same thing, that they are concerned about the citizen. That is why going on the nationwide strike is like the next best thing for them. So, what do you make of this? What would you say to the layman, to the regular Nigerian who obviously is thinking of their next meal? How would you encourage them to not even, support it? Because like yesterday, for instance, a friend of mine posted on his social media page, and then he was like, protest is brewing. He stays here in Abuja, and all he could say was, protest is brewing. And I texted him, I was like, what do you mean by this? Apparently, a number of people out there are obviously contemplating, thinking about, protesting this whole issue, especially when it comes to, we've been dealing with joblessness for a long time, and all of that, the lack of job, the scarcity of job, and all of that, youth is suffering, a number of people are suffering, and then the Labour Congress do think that, the nationwide strike is the next best thing. What do you make of this?
I've said it, and I don't want to appear like a broken record. Clearly, there is widespread hunger. Yes, there is. No doubt about it. There is hardship in the land. No two ways about it. And there is no living in denial. Also, there is panic and anxiety. No two ways about that. But the question is this: is going on strike the solution? Will strike solve the problem? If it will, why not? But if it won't, why should? And in any case, is strike the first thing? In industrial labor relation? Strike is the last thing. And I've been saying it times and times over that you don't use your joker anyhow. If you use your joker anyhow, it will get to a stage where it will not even make any impact. Strike is not the first thing. Strike is the last thing. But I do not want to give the impression as if the Nigerian Labour Congress is being difficult. No. The Nigerian Labour Congress, TUC, and all the allied unions, they are just concerned about the welfare and the well-being of the workers and the hardship they are going through. It is true. It is true, we have said it and we continue to say it, that there is hardship in the land. Nigerians are suffering. The living standard is nothing to write home about. And the Nigerian Labour Congress, as a responsible pressure group, should, as it is doing, do the needful. But mark my word, while they intend and they want to protect the workers, which is the right thing to do, I still do not believe, and we at Citizen FM do not believe, that strike is the answer. Strike is not the answer for now.
All right, thank you very much.
Let us engage in dialogue,
okay,
meaningful conversation, and let the government too be responsive and sensitive to the yearnings of the people. And they are doing that because the president yesterday directed or ordered that the reserve should be released.
And yes, sir, thank you very much for that. We'll actually head into that point, the rising cost of food and all of that. But before we get to that point, let's take this call from one of our callers. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Kennedy. I'm calling from Cairo.
All right, good morning. Please go
I
ahead.
want to meet our in-house guest, especially about this level, about the the strike that level are planning. I want to ask this question: what was our benefit when ASU went on strike for several months? What was the benefit? What did we gain in that strike? Now, sometimes Labour makes some of us feel that it's only what benefits them. And sometimes we feel as they are only chasing crowds. We know that there is hardship in the last years. We know. What time have you ever had Labour, profound solution to Nigerian problem apart from strike? Is it that it's only strike that is the benefit that Nigerians are supposed to enjoy from Labour? It's just a question. Let me stop now. God bless every positive thing in Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you very much for that contribution, Kennedy from Cairo. And Mr. Salami, do you have a response to our caller?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because you see, I have tremendous respect for the Nigerian Labour Congress, especially our brother, the national president, Comrade Ajaero. Fantastic young man who is interested in the welfare and the well-being of the Nigerian workers, not even Nigerian workers alone, of all Nigerians. He has suffered unduly as a result of his concern. There was a time he was battered, yet he endured all these things. That yet this is the price for being the leader of Ajaero, Comrade Ajaero, that this is not the time to go on strike. And like our brother Kennedy asked, you mean the only answer from the Nigerian Labour Congress to our myriads of problems is strike? Yes, they have come up with 16-point issues to be addressed by the government. They should still continue to press the government to fulfill its obligation. There are so many other things for them to do. Let them go on advocacy. Educate Nigerians on why they should hold this government accountable, and not necessarily asking them to go on strike. Strike, uncountable strike, and strike in itself and by itself has not solved the problem and cannot solve our problem. Let us think outside the box. Mohammed Idris, the Honorable Minister of Information, has said that all these gray areas will be looked into and that they should come for a talk, a peace talk. They should still engage the government in a robust discussion with a view to solving this problem. Let us come on the table, round table, have a peace talk, and not go on strike, because experience has shown that strike worsens the already bad situation in our hand. We can avoid this. Please don't let us add more to the problem of the downtrodden masses.
All right, quickly, let's talk about the rising cost of food, and then, the federal government's ordering the release of 102,000 tons of rice, maize, millet, and gari. And he says that to clamp down on orders of food items, and also they address that the rising cost of food, may import, and they may also import commodities at last resort. And also the governors meet NSA DSS over insecurity and food scarcity. This move was made yesterday to address the high cost of food. And we can also see that the Nigerian Governors Forum with the They met with the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, and the representative of Director General of the Department of State Services, the DSS, that is Yusuf Bichi, on how to address the recent national concerns. And at the same time, the Islamic body as well, headed by Sultan of Sokoto, and called on the federal and state government to urgently address the economic and security challenges facing Nigerians to prevent deterioration. And also, quickly, just, because of the lack of time, would also address the part where the World Bank says that Borno, Adamawa, others risk severe food crisis, as they've said that 7 states across the northwest and northeast regions of the country may suffer food crisis due to high levels of insecurity and armed conflict that has reduced the standards of living across the region. Mr. Salami, over to you, sir.
Well, we are still saying the same thing, and thank God that the federal government yesterday ordered or directed the release of food, maize, millet, rice, gari from the National Reserve and the Nigerian Governors Forum, meaning that the federal government, the states, and even the local government should please do the needful. And it is good that the governors, through their APES association, the Nigerian Governors Forum, came together yesterday and met even with the NSA, National Security Advisor, Malam Nuru Ribadu, and the DG, Director General of DSS. All these are reasonable, robust ways of solving this problem. The NLC should please join them in finding solution to what is now a critical problem facing this country. By joining them to solve the problem, and not by asking people to go on strike, is the way to go. We have said it, that at Citizen FM we be critical, if need be, very, very critical, just as NLC is, but then we will not be hostile. Let it not be seen that NLC has a sinister motive, and let us leave it at that for now. That is that. On this issue of impending food crisis in 7 states, there's food crisis already. Not only in the 7 states, all over Nigeria. The price of foodstuff has gone beyond what the ordinary man could afford. If it is available, it is not affordable. That is one. And 2, more than that, it is as a result of insecurity in the land. And the security agencies, they are up and doing now, because we must not be seen to be discouraging them. We should encourage them. We should raise their morale. And let us thank God for the security chiefs, especially General Chris Musa, a man that has signed his life. He has signed on his life to protect Nigerians, and is a no-nonsense general. We are saying this not because we are sycophants, no, but the job of the media as purveyors of news is to tell it as it is and let the people judge. General Chris Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, is one man that is so much concerned about the state of insecurity in the land, and he is mobilizing his troops and the soldiers to please redouble their effort in decimating these criminals, and they are succeeding.
Okay, thank you very much.
They are really succeeding, and we should not discourage them. Rather, we should encourage them. Why? Even though we have not started sleeping with our eyes closed. But while we still sleep, they don't sleep. They do not sleep. And we should not take this for granted. We should appreciate them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Salami. But then before we bring this to a close today, let's even take a quick look at the education system. Apparently, with the economic crunch in the country that has hit all sectors and is not sparing the education sector as well, it has created more indigent students who are finding it difficult to cope with the situation. And the headline here says that education with tears, hardship creating more indigent students. And then an investigation that was carried out showed that many students are dropping out of school, attending classes hungry, unable to meet obligations such as paying school fees and living decently, among others. Quickly, Mr. Salami, what would you say about this?
It is a big problem. A very, very big problem. Quite many students are dropping out of school. Those who manage to be in school as we speak, they go to classes with hungry stomach, nothing in their stomach. They cannot concentrate on their studies. And quite many of them are even contemplating joining criminals, because an idle hand is the devil's workshop. That is why we should appreciate certain Nigerians who are patriots, who are role models, who are trying to solve the problem. One of such persons is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Mrs. Folashade Ogunshola, and that woman, Professor Bello, the Vice Chancellor of LASU, Lagos State University, and so many others. They are mothers, and perhaps because they are mothers, they are concerned. Do you know that the office of the Vice Chancellor in some universities have taken it upon themselves to even feed the indigent students and to ensure that they do not drop out as a result of their inability to pay the tuition fees? We enjoin all Nigerians, especially the well-to-do, to please come and help solve this problem. Education is the only thing that could make the son of a hewer of wood and fetchers of water to be relevant. It's a leveler. It's the only thing that can help the indigent students and the children of the poor to have a good and bright future. Make education affordable and accessible, quality education to our students. They are the future of this country, and they are the leaders of tomorrow. And the so-called tomorrow starts now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Salami. It would be very unfair for us to not touch on this particular topic before we call it a day. Apparently, on Wednesday, when the Super Eagles did play the Bafana during the AFCON semi-final match, news did come through the following day that Ojo Ugbo and 4 others died watching the match. And apparently the 4 others that did die, they are Mr. Cairo Ojogo, who was the chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, the deputy bossa, Kwara State University, Malete, Ayuba Abdullahi, and a core member 7 in Adamawa State, simply identified as Samuel. And lastly, Anambra-born businessman Oshondu Unwoye, based in Cote d'Ivoire, also reported to have collapsed inside the stadium while watching the match and died later in the hospital. Quickly, sir, just 1 minute. What exactly can you say to us this?
It still boils down to the same thing, that the welfare of Nigerians, especially as it concerns the health, the state of health of most Nigerians, is not good. It's not good. Even here in Labour House, we lost somebody, a security man. The government should come to the aid of Nigerians, because the primary objective of any government is the welfare and well-being of the people. This is why we are pleading with the government that they should prioritize the health care of Nigerians, make health care delivery accessible and affordable in such a manner that cardiac arrest that has taken its toll on our people, because quite many of them died of either excitement occasioned by cardiac arrest, and it only means that the health is not robust. In any case,
all right, thank you.
Let the government do the needful.
Thank you very much for that insightful analysis of all the stories. Apparently, we did really beat time today, but thank you for our listeners and also for our callers this morning. Thank you for joining the conversation and also being a part of the newspaper review right here on Citizen 93.7. Thank you very much, Mr. Salman Salami, for joining me this morning.
It's a pleasure. We are here because of the super citizen listeners, and we plead with them that they should please call in and make their views known to us.
All right, thank you. My name is Shaun Smith. Do have a beautiful morning. Coming up next on your favorite radio station is the Big Talk. So do stay tuned. We'll be talking about